There's some things sellers rarely see clearly while they're in it. Two homes can hit the market in the same week. Same neighborhood, similar size, similar condition, similar price range. One sells quietly and confidently, often close to asking. The other lingers, then reduces, then negotiates from a weaker position. And from the outside, it looks random. It isn't. The difference is rarely dramatic. It's almost always subtle. And it almost always starts before the listing goes live. When a home sells quietly, it doesn't mean there wasn't competition. It doesn't mean it was underpriced. It means alignment happened early. Alignment between buyer expectations, market positioning, pricing posture, and presentation clarity. When those four things line up, momentum feels natural. There's no panic, there's no chasing, there's no visible correction, just a clean transaction. Now let's look at the opposite scenario. Discounted listings don't usually begin as disasters. They begin as almost right, almost aligned, almost compelling, and almost competitive. But almost in this market can be expensive. Buyers today are ranking aggressively. They're not asking, is this reasonable? They're asking, is this better than the others I've seen? If the answer isn't clearly less in one or two meaningful ways, the home slides down the list. Not necessarily rejected, just deprioritized. That's how discounting begins. Not with failure, but with hesitation. Here's something I've observed repeatedly. Homes that sell quietly often create buyer tension early. Not artificial urgency, not gimmicks, but a sense that waiting carries risk. The tension might come from clean pricing relative to the competition, clear positioning towards a specific buyer, strong presentation that removes all doubt, or a combination of all three. Buyers don't need chaos to act, they just need clarity. Now let's contrast that with a listing that drifts towards discount. Week 1, moderate activity. Week 2, polite interest. Week 3, sellers start watching showing counts nervously. Week 4, small reduction. At that point, the narrative completely changes. Instead of this home is aligned, it becomes what didn't work. And once that question enters the market's mind, leverage softens. The irony is that many discounted listings weren't dramatically overpriced. They were slightly misaligned. That slight misalignment compounds over time. Here's where sellers often misunderstand the situation. They think discounting is caused by price alone, but price is just the final visible lever. The deeper causes are usually positioning drift, unclear target buyer, presentation friction, or pricing posture that feels hesitant rather than confident. Let's talk about the pricing posture for a moment. There's a difference between strategic pricing and hopeful pricing. Strategic pricing says this home belongs in this price range and buyers will feel that alignment. Hopeful pricing says we'll try here and see. Buyers can feel the difference, even subconsciously. Hopeful pricing removes tension. Strategic pricing creates it. Now, are there cases where discounting is unavoidable? Yes, of course. Market shifts, unexpected economic changes, unique property challenges, but most of the time, quiet sales are engineered. Discounted sales are reacted to, and the dividing line is preparation. Before a home sells quietly, someone has usually asked, what are we competing against? What objections will likely surface? What would make a buyer hesitate? Where do we need to be stronger? Those questions are answered before exposure, not after. Because once exposure happens, the market responds in real time, and real-time corrections are rarely graceful. The strongest listings don't need dramatic saves. They don't need major pivots. They don't need aggressive reductions. They enter aligned and move forward. Now here's something important. Selling quietly doesn't mean selling below value. In fact, many quiet sales happen at strong numbers because buyers feel confident. They feel like they understand the home. They feel like the pricing makes sense relative to the alternatives. Confidence shortens negotiation, doubt lengthens it. And linked often equals discount. So if you're thinking about selling, the real question isn't, will my home sell? It's, how will it be positioned in the comparison set? Will it feel compelling or merely available? Will it create clarity or invite hesitation? Those answers are knowable before you list. If you want to understand how your home would likely perform, whether it's more likely to sell quietly or drift towards discount territory, that's exactly what we examine in a strategic listing readiness review. It's not about hype, it's not about pushing you to list, it's about analyzing alignment before exposure. The link is in the description. In this market, outcomes aren't accidental. They're shaped by decisions made before the listing ever goes live. In the next video, I'll explain why some sellers do everything right and still miss the market.